One of the biggest fundamental problems we have today is not finding enough energy. It's at what cost? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. If you look around, you see people like Sam Altman, you look around to Amazon, you can see the biggest companies of the world talking about energy. This is something that we didn't see just a few years ago. In fact, if you look at what happened during 2020, we realized how frail and fragile our system is from the supply chain. And then you looked at energy. We went back to coal to power all of the needs that we had in some cases because it was there, it was available, and others were not. So now we are seeing this insatiable demand for energy, particularly when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, but also data centers in general. The more data centers we build, the more tech we need. We have to have some level of energy that's going behind it. And it's not just, a minute amount, what you would use as an individual. We are talking about super high powered, hungry, energy hungry systems that are going in here. We got to cool that. This is a issue. And of course, we have to figure out a way. Well, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about oil. I'm going to get into some interesting stuff. Let's begin first with this. Spartan, if you're watching, oil falls on renewed push for Middle East ceasefire. And so watch out what happens here with this, because what they actually said was they are going to continue to go in, but not right now. So there could be a little bit of an ease, a little bit of a dip, and then the plan is to go back in again. So then we could have a dip in oil and it could surge back up. That could be a potential opportunity. We will see. Nobody knows what date that will be, but I wanted to make that clear. That's for you, Spartan, and the Finance Friday crew, as we were talking about that. AI demand for data centers vastly underestimated. This is where we get into the big stuff, okay? How do you okay, first of all, what do you think about AI? Do you think their companies are going to go more into it? Do you think companies will be utilizing AI? Regardless of what you think about AI as its own thing, do you think companies are going to be spending a lot of money? They're going to be having these data centers and so on? If the answer is yes, then energy needs will rise. That puts a burden on you. Your energy costs are going to go up, okay? But at the same time, we need to find new forms of energy or ones that are bringing the costs of energy down as the power, the desire for more energy increases. We need that. It's imperative. Co-founder of cloud computing firm says that the demand is absurd. Okay, the world is grossly underestimating how much the demand for artificial intelligence is going to expand the global market for data centers over the next 5 years. The data center requests that CoreWeave is fielding on a daily basis are absurd, with many asking for entire campuses for themselves. The market is moving a lot faster, and then the supply chains have historically supported a very physical business, have been set up to do, predicting more mega campuses that will stress power grids and spur political fights. There are going to be some things that this industry is going to have to work through. They get into more in here. I just think it's important that you see, okay, what do we take from this information? Well, we've got AI, whether or not it's real AI. This is AI. They're going to be needing more of it. Every company is going to be doing it. That means we need data centers. If we need data centers, that means physical locations. Okay, so the stuff might be living in the cloud, that stuff might be living on the internet, but we need a physical location to store it. That means we got to cool it. That means we need a lot of energy. They are super intense energy usage. So what type of energy makes a lot, but at the same time, remember, so-called clean energy? They want clean energy because they have certain quotas they have to hit. They can't go out there and use coal. They can't do that. And so, what is it that they'll have to turn to? And of course, you might be on this channel for a while and know what I'm getting at. When we talk about nuclear energy, This fits the bill top to bottom. There's one problem though. Just one problem. Let me get into it in a sec. Amazon presses the nuclear button. Tech giants now show growing interest in atomic power. They had some cool stuff in here if you haven't seen this already. But of course, when we look at it, AWS, this is a company that part of Amazon's company, which maybe they'll get split. But looking at AWS, you can see that it has expanded, grown. Every company seemingly is using AWS. And so they've been buying electricity. They've been doing this massive quantity of electricity. But now what they want is they're going to have to, I even consider the possibility that these massive establishments, that they have these huge data centers, as they say, the campuses. Well, could it be possible that they would build their own small modular reactor and then power their own thing? And this could be out in the middle of nowhere, basically. And they would be able to have these data centers that are just massive scale. The energy is being provided, and whether or not they're, it'll ever go down that route, we'll see. But the point is, we are embarking on a new, very, very new world when it comes to energy, because it's not what it was 40 years ago, okay, in terms of nuclear. It comes amid a rally in public sentiment towards nuclear energy. Last year's COP28 conference in Dubai, 22 countries said that they will triple their nuclear generation capacity by 2050. I told you that they were going to be spending trillions of dollars globally. This is in 2020. That's in 2020. I was telling everybody, but only a few were listening, it seems. Meanwhile, at the US, environmental nonprofits, many of which were set up by anti-nuclear activists, a new generation is challenging the old guard's stance. And so we'll see what happens there. The old nuclear is very different. They're going into it. Look, they're doing it. They're doing it. If they are doing it, well then, what's going to happen? What stands to gain as a result of it? Look at this. Saudi Arabia may crude oil prices to Asia. Right now, what we're seeing is an increase in price in oil generally. We're generally seeing that. And all resources could become more expensive. This is something that we need to keep in mind. I'll hold that thought for a second. World's top uranium miner seeks to boost exports to the US. This is talking about Kazakhstan, okay? The best part about this, the funny part, I should say, is Canada just north of the United States, and they're just sitting there, sitting on their hands. You're going to go get it from Kazakhstan, but you're not going to get it from Canada. Canada is a resource-rich nation that is going nowhere, is declining, and is rapidly decaying. That's embarrassing. This right here is embarrassing. Thailand and Philippines embrace nuclear power to cut emissions, so we're even seeing developing nations that are going towards it. The whole point here is energy is changing. Energy is changing, okay? You see that. Morgan Stanley says to buy energy stocks right now. Why is that the case? Basically just saying, if you look at it overall, certain stocks, like the tech stocks, they're just completely overdone, overblown. And if you show the relationship between the total S&P 500 and where energy stocks are just beaten down in comparison, the ratio of tech to energy is off. And so Morgan Stanley saying now is the time to buy energy stocks. That's what they're saying anyway. Goldman Sachs starts with buy on chemical stock amid high uranium demand. You're a little late, Goldman Sachs. Been telling you that since 2020. Uranium stocks soar on bullish Goldman Sachs call, as well as Kazakhstan flooding. So there we go. Kazakhstan, they're getting a flood. That makes the basically the supply a problem. And as a result, prices can go higher. I brought this out in a previous episode. Uranium's 22% price plunge is bottoming out on nuclear future. So the whole point here is that they need to produce this so that you can power the future. But there's a problem. There's one problem. And that is, if you say today, governments, by the way, governments take a long time to agree on anything. If they said today, we're going to build this power plant, we're going to make it happen, it's going to take 5 years, 10 years to make that happen. If they agree today, so think about that. It's going to take a long time. So what have they been doing right now is simply extending the life of their current nuclear plants that they have. Those old ones are not very good, from my understanding, but they're going to extend the life of those. At the same time, what we have is the idea that there's going to be this gap in time in which we need that energy. In the next 5 years, you're going to need a lot of energy. Just picture that 5 years from now, we're going to need a lot of energy. The usage is going to be going crazy and we don't have enough. I predict that energy prices could rise rapidly. The demand could soar a lot and we could have this battle. All that tech stuff is using too much energy. Meanwhile, mom and pop, they're suffering. Their energy prices are rising high. They can't turn on the heater in the winter. This is a big deal. Okay, and we're going to see how governments respond to all of it. I've been telling people about uranium for a while. There are alternates like thorium. Do you see them building thorium? Are they talking about thorium? I don't see it. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today. I just wanted to make that very clear. Watch what's happening with oil as well. If you see another invasion happen, or at least a talk of another invasion happen, that could put upward pressure on the prices of oil. So keep that in mind as well. And gold, at the same time, being one of those resources, wherever there's risk, gold could do well also. If you want to know more about this in depth and be way ahead of the curve, Finance Friday crew, shout outs to the Finance Friday crew. I want to thank you for being here as always. If you want more information, want to join the Finance Friday crew, small group of people, link in the description at the top. Don't ignore that. Don't ignore that. Don't go. Just go to that link. All right. I appreciate that, and hit that thumbs up button on the way out because that supports the channel. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.